One important factor that is commonly overlooked when it comes to MCAT studying, or studying for any major exam for that matter, is having a dedicated study period leading up to the actual exam. A lot of students will study for these big exams when they are in a semester of classes or working a full-time job. And the reality is, even if you stretch your studying over a longer period of time and incorporate certain active recall techniques and spaced repetition that allows you to study well while doing other things and know most of the information, you're not really going to be at your absolute peak and be able to put your best foot forward without having a dedicated study period. And that's why this is usually worked in already for med students that are studying for their board exams. Most of their schools will give them a dedicated study period, but for something like the MCAT, it's not as well established, where you have to make your own dedicated study period. And that's one of the reasons that I always recommend either taking the MCAT at the end of the summer or at the end of winter break, because you're able to spend the entire summer just studying for the MCAT, or at least if you're working a part-time job over the summer, usually you have time the last 3 to 4 weeks to do nothing but study. And if you're taking the MCAT in late January at the end of winter break, you can study all winter break with generally no distractions. And this really makes a big difference for students, where you will see the biggest gains. You're able to do practice questions at practice tests consistently. You're fully immersed in the material, and there will be a point where you feel like you're going to get burnt out, and right before that point is when you want to take the exam. And so if you've been studying for a while, but again, you were doing it part-time and you weren't able to devote 6 to 8 hours a day to really study for the exam, it's okay if you had to stretch it out over time. But leading into the exam, at the very least, give yourself 2 to 3 weeks, whether you have to take off from work. I know it might be a financial sacrifice, and sometimes that's just what you have to do for such an important exam like this. Figure out a way, put in notice early on that you're going to need to take vacation days from work, or work it into your semester where you'll be able to have that time to really dedicate nothing but studying for that exam. And that way all the other distractions of life are not there to affect you. This can be a crucial part of your MCAT performance and really can make the difference of multiple points on the exam. So again, that's why I tell most students, take a January or summer MCAT test date. That's not always the case where you're able to do that. Sometimes you end up having to take an April or a May, but try to figure out a way where you can really limit the amount of other responsibilities that you have leading into that exam. So hopefully that was helpful advice. If you're thinking about planning when to take the MCAT, definitely factor this in, and good luck with your studying. Don't forget to like and subscribe.